Hi folks, it's Mark from MT.TrainRestorations again. As you can see in front of me here, we have an E-unit, a Lionel E-unit, and some parts and pieces. I just wanted to walk through those with you real quick, tell you what we have, what we're going to do today. I did a video, I don't know, 2-3 months ago on E-units, on how to repair them and so on and so forth. A lot of comments and questions since I've done that. Hope it was helpful. It seemed like it was. A lot of folks have used that video to their advantage, which is what I intend them for. So anyway, I wanted to just follow up a little something. I did a video a short time ago. My last video was on how to repair a loose handle, how to replace a handle, taking the top off of the E-unit this time, putting it back on, so on and so forth. So if you didn't see that video, it's out there shortly, if not already, and check it out. It'll be called replacing and repairing handles on E-units, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. Anyway, so what we're going to do today, since I have this unit out, replaced the handle on it, what I'm going to do is might as well put it together the rest of the way. The parts included in this video that are going to be needed here, I got a new set of fingers, 4 fingers, the 2 fingers, a drum, and the shield that protects the 2-finger contactor on the bottom of the E-unit. It keeps it from getting touching anything and anything getting stuck up in there and so on, but it's just a protector. And the parts and pieces to my repair unit, my E-unit jig that I have. Show you how that's used as well. And so what we'll do next is I'm going to solder a few wires on. I use this little holder, which is kind of cool. You can get them, I think, Micro Mark and almost anywhere, Hobby Shop, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, those kind of places. Mine came with a magnifying glass, but I took it off because it was in my way. So far so good with seeing. I can see small things that work on them still, which is a great thing. So I use that to hold this in place while I solder wires on, which is very helpful for me. So what I'm going to do is get this in position and try to go from there and see if we can get some wire soldered on here. So the configuration is a green, blue, black on this end, but green, blue, then the 2-finger gets the yellow. So we'll do that afterwards. But I'm gonna solder a couple things. I'm not gonna do all the soldering on the video because it's kind of long process and boring. But I'm gonna start it on here anyway. What I'd like to do is usually put a little bit of solder on my wire and get it with some solder on it. The solder I use has some resin in it already, so get this warmed up. There we go. Get some solder. I got some solder already on here. I like to get some on my, because this is stranded wire, I like to get it with some solder on it, so when I stick it up through the hole for the green one, I can kind of continue, bend it over a little bit and hold it in place and get it heated up and go from there. There, let's see what that does. Looks like that's there. Okay, so that's the green one. Let's see if we can get the blue one here. Stranded wire, twist it around somewhat, best you can. let's see here, make sure that we're getting that okay with everybody. Then we're going to put a little bit of solder on it. And that goes in hole number 2. You'll notice that there's a split in the copper contact plate. Even though the wires are close together, they're not to touch. And that space in the plate is there for a reason. We don't want anything shorting out, so let's see if we can get this up in there and kind of knock it down a little bit and get this here soldered on. Looks pretty good. Seems to be on there pretty well. Okay, so wire 1 and 2. Okay, so the one on the end, again, like I said, it's black. It's a little black wire. So what we're going to do is prep it, cut it to length. Shave it off a little bit. This is a solid wire here, so I got some fuzzies I'm going to trim off with my trusty little pocket knife that's only used for this. Got to take this out of the holder. I'm going to flip this around a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a little bit of solder on the wire. And we'll poke that up through and do the same thing. See if we can do this fairly quickly. I was going to just do one or so or two and stop and finish them off video, but it really doesn't take all that long. But let's stick this up through. And let's see if we can bend that down a little bit. There we go. Same thing on this end. The black wire obviously does not touch the center copper contact area, so we want to keep solder from going between the two, and that's it. There. So with that said, the 4-finger unit is set. Now this will go inside of this unit this away. Goes up inside here, plungers out of the way, goes up inside here like so, so on, and these little ends go inside these slots. That's what holds it in place. The 2-finger contactor will go up here like this, and it gets a shield placed on it afterwards. I'll show you that, and we'll go from there. So let me take a little pause here. I will solder up the 2-finger, and then we'll start to try to assemble everything, and I'll catch up with you. How's that? Alright, so I'm back. Got the yellow wire onto the 2-finger contactor, and what we want to do is put the guard on. Now you'll see that again the fingers are pointing. Make sure the fingers are always pointing towards the inside of the E unit, towards the drum. So the shield goes on through these little holes. You can still get most of these parts from a trusty parts man. You pop those through the holes in the white insulator board, and you want to put a little bit of a push on them and bend them in or bend them out, either way, to what I like to do is use my needle nose. I put a little bend on them towards the out, and just kind of bend that towards you, and that keeps them on there. That's just a protector. So once you put this on, you'll see how it goes. So we want to put this E-unit back into the jig. If you don't have a jig, you can use a clamp. I have a table clamp that goes onto my table, and if you don't have one of those, I'll show you mine here real quick. I have one of these. It clamps onto my table, and that's what I used to do, is, you know, clamp these in there to hold them still while I used my other two hands. So you can get these also at the hobby shop, you know, or maybe even a Home Depot or Ace Hardware. I'm not sure, but I think I got this one, I think, at Hobby Lobby or something like that. But anyway, if you have one of those, that'll work too, but the jig probably works the best that I've had so far. But so I'm going to clear some of this out of the way. And what we're going to do is make sure that that's in there. And we're going to make sure that we have everything in order. And we're going to go from there. So, first thing to go, we want to make sure the plunger is in the right location, facing the right way. It does face in. It grabs these little teeth as it goes up and down. So we want to make sure that the teeth are pointing away from the plunger, not this way, because it would not pick them up that way. You want that to be that way. So every time the plunger goes up, it grabs a tooth and it falls. Then when you put power to it, the plunger goes up again and grabs a tooth. So anyway, don't want to beat that around the bush too much. So with my little, see how this works. We'll put this in this way, got the teeth facing the right way, so we'll be ready to go. So the fingers go in first, the four fingers go in. You got to make sure this is open wide enough to get that in there, because it goes together way at the bottom. So we want to make sure that is open wide enough to get this inside of there. Sometimes you got to open it a little bit more. You just want to watch, you don't bend it too much. But you just want to get that up in there like so. Yeah, just like that. Then you can let some of the pressure go back and try to get those lined up. See, one's already lined up in there. That one's just about lined up in there. I use a little teeny screwdriver. Let's see here, something like that. And just kind of move it around a little bit. Make sure we're getting it lined up in the hole where it goes. Push that one down. Yeah, it's starting to fit in there. It's a little process. Like I said, that's why it makes it easier if you have a free hand. You get that lined up in there. There, that's easier. Just holding your hand for a minute, get that lined up. There. Whew, okay, not so bad, but you can tell when they pop into place. Now, the trick is you want to keep that pressure on in that location as you get the drum unit in. So lining up the drum unit, again, with the teeth facing this way, away from the back holder. You want to get that down in there, like so. And get it to the point where it's pretty lined up in these holes. There's one. The other one's just about lined up there. Okay. And now the trick is this pipe. This little bar has to fit into that hole again. And you got to get there. So the yellow end, the green end of the drum is in place on that side. It's in place on this side. That seems to be in place. Now before you clip it the rest of the way, we got to get one more thing placed in here. So we have to make sure this is open enough to get the two finger back in there. So we want to open it up a little much. That's the tricky part. That's why you need so many hands. You want to get this in there, get that in there. There, we're going to get that end in, this end in, and get the E unit line back up. And then the stud, there, and there. Okay, pull this out. Pull this out of the jig. Oh, I think we got it, folks. Lined up. The big fingers are lined up. The drum's lined up. The post is lined up. The two fingers lined up on that side. Looks like everything's in place. This is snapped together pretty well. So, with all that said, your wires are in place. Leave enough slack to you could put this in almost any engine you need. I usually leave a little extra, and so on. Now, the last thing, you can do it now or do it later, but this wire goes to the positive side, so I'm gonna strip it. I'm going to strip it here a little bit. We're going to take it around here. That's where it goes. Goes up into here. Tuck it, kind of tuck it right up underneath that area if you can, and bend it back. And then what I like to do is, got a little stray strand of string here hanging from it. I'll get my little snipper out there, see if we can get it out of the way. Okay. So, I like to heat this up right here with my soldering gun and put that right behind it. And as soon as it gets soft, ready to go, I push that right through with my finger. So we'll see if that theory works. So keep those out of your way best you can. Heat this up, get your thumb back here on that wire. Make sure that wire's lined up, ready to go into the hole. Come on now. There we go. Okay, it's ready to go into the hole. All I gotta do now is heat this side up. And it don't take too long. Now you can connect it here too as well, but I like to put it here. Keep it out of the way. There it goes. And just heat this up around it. Make sure it gets a good bond on the wire. You can even put a little bit more solder on just to make sure if you're there. And you can always cut off that little bit of end there. Just cut that off with some diagonal cutters so it doesn't poke you. But that's in there secure now. This is left open for, you can add other hot lines you need inside your engine if you need to put a light or a couple lights or whatever you're doing with this E unit. You don't know until you put it back into something. So I like to get this, I cut this off. There. So now this is all put back together. Last video we took this top off. We fixed this handle from flopping around, so now it sticks. It's all connected to the negative side, positive side. You got your brush wires, and you got your other end of the field coil wire, and that's how these connect. You'll see how they go once you decide on which engine you'll put it in. So what I like to do when I'm done, I like to test these. So since I have my transformer on, give me a second, I will get my alligator clips and we could test this and see what we get. And okay, so now what I got is a hot lead, And we'll put a little bit of juice to my wires here. So how I test them is hot on the hot side, and you can touch this on the negative anywhere. Let's turn it around so we can see. We'll see if we get the E unit jumping up and down here. So let me turn it around. We put this on here. I'll touch this to ground. There. So you can see that E unit goes up, falls down with gravity. That's what it's supposed to do, up and down. Hope you can see that. Pulls it up, drops down. Pulls it up, drops down. If it stands straight up, it'll do it better. I'm holding it at an angle. But clicking, that means it's cycling. So what that means is it's going through the proper process. So with that said, this E unit is ready to go into something. And hopefully that helped. Like I said, I'm sure everybody does not have all the same tools and equipment and so on, but it's not a lot of equipment. These are pretty inexpensive, and you can find these at a lot of places. If you're interested in a jig to hold onto your E unit, it won't be probably this exact one, but I do have a website for a similar device. And parts and pieces are available. I have a lot of the parts. Fingers, plungers, handles, all those kind of things. I got drum units, insulated plates, all that kind of thing to repair and rebuild E units. Those parts are available. I get them from my parts guy in New York, Jeff Kane, from the Train Tender. His website's MT.TrainRestorations.com. And you can get parts from him. I think there are available other parts guys. You just have to look around a little bit. But that's where I get my stuff from. So if you're interested in that too, I can send you that site. Other than that, that was fairly simple. It didn't take too long to put one back together. So again, until next time, that was Mark from MT Restorations showing you how to completely rebuild a E unit, top, bottom, handle, fingers, drum unit, the whole deal, and get them to work. So until next time, you can send me an email if you like, MT.TrainRestorations, all one word, at gmail.com. And until then, take care. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.